Hey, welcome to the what is it? It is September 6th meeting of the Rotary Club of San Dimas. I am not your president. Our president, Steve Scott, is under the weather. So I'm going to reprise my role as immediate past president, as current president for one day, actually, hopefully for one meeting only. And so we will get through this. We got a great speaker and a great lineup. So let's go around the spokes of this wheel and see who's in with us today. We'll begin with Brandon Moon. Say hello and introduce yourself.
Hello, Brandon Moon, fellow Rotarian, CERT member, recent appointee as Parks and Recreation Commissioner, and as of noon today, also a San Dimas Sheriff's Department booster member.
Wow.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, I guess that's about it.
Well, welcome to doing everything they ask you to do. Well, okay, so it's not going to take long, but you'll get to the, when you need that class and saying no, let us know. We'll let you know about that also. So
Well, I forgot one important San Dimas Little League chair board member also.
Thank you very much. Welcome, Brandon. Let's go over to Mike real quick.
Yeah, and if you want advice in learning how to say no, you are absolutely in the wrong room. Mike Wallace, I am the president of Better Home Financial mortgage brokerage here in downtown San Dimas. Been a Rotarian for over 8 years. Involved in a lot in the community. Just happy to be here serving the community with my fellow Rotarians.
Excellent. Thank you. Diva.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Diva Alfaro. I am a fellow Rotarian for the last, I think, 5+ years. I always lose count. I am a senior consultant for Deloitte, and I'm happy to be here.
Excellent. Mary Ann.
Thank you. Mary Ann Kistler. I'm a retired banker, and I have been in the club for over 30 years, I guess. I never remember. And I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Glenn Johnson.
Glenn Johnson, member Satellite Rotary Club.
Okay, let's see. We got quite a few visitors today. So let's say first, Maribel, would you introduce yourself and say hello to everyone?
Hi, I'm Maribel. I'm getting over a cold. I'm part of the CERT team, and I live here in San Dimas.
Well, thank you for coming today. And Dennis, would you introduce yourself?
Yes, sir. Member of CERT team since 2015, started with Larry. I'm the training director, coordinator of CERT.
Excellent. And Melissa.
Hello, I am a longtime San Dimas resident, CERT team member, and also on the committee for San Dimas 2026.
And we are very happy to have you. So let's get right to our guest speaker. Larry Giannone was born in East Los Angeles and grew up in the San Gabriel Valley. He earned his bachelor's degree in business from the University of Phoenix. He was an active member of the FBI's Law Enforcement Executive Management Program, a member of the San Gabriel Valley Police Chiefs Association, a member of the Los Angeles County Police Chiefs Association, and a former president of the San Gabriel Valley Peace Officers Association. Larry began his career as a police cadet in 1973 with the Huntington Beach Police Department. He then joined the Monterey Park Police Department as a reserve police officer, rising to a reserve police captain. Larry was recognized twice by the California Reserve Peace Officers Association for his dedication to volunteerism. He continued to volunteer his services today with the City of San Dimas. With a true love of his profession, Larry left the Reserve Corps and joined the Monterey Park Police Department as a full-time employee in 1979. He has worked a variety of assignments, including dispatch, technical services, patrol, motor officer, vice, narcotics, gangs, detectives, organized crime, administration, and professional standards. He also took on the specialty of being the department's first arson investigator, working with many fire departments in the San Gabriel Valley, and he was a member of the San Gabriel Valley Arson Task Force. After spending 26 years with the Monterey Park Police Department, he joined the Sierra Madre Police Department in 2007 as a captain. He oversaw the department's daily operations, administrative services, and budget. In 2010, he became the police chief for the city of Sierra Madre. Larry retired in 2016 as the city's director of public safety, having managed both police and the fire department. Larry received numerous prestigious awards during his 40 years in law enforcement. He serves the City of San Dimas now as the volunteer coordinator. He emphasizes emergency management and the Community Emergency Response Team CERT. Larry, welcome to the Rotary Club of San Dimas.
Thank you very much, and thank you for that introduction. One of the things I learned about primarily when I was a police chief and the director of public safety was the importance of volunteerism. It goes without a doubt that communities need volunteers. They need their community members to pull together. And so when I retired, I originally had gone on to join the police commission with the City of San Dimas, which I am still part of. I'll be doing my 5th year term starting this year as a police commission there. But during that interview process, they asked me if I would consider bringing CERT on to the City of San Dimas. It had surfaced a couple of times, but basically had died in the works. And so our illustrious Mayor Emmett hand wrestled me into signing that I would do this. And I think it was probably the end. Dennis, was it 2015 or 2016 when we started?
2015 is when we started with the city council.
Yeah. So, basically, we took this role on. We developed a CERT team. I wanted to get back to the community. My volunteers were wonderful where I worked with. I saw their importance. I decided when I retired, I wanted to get back. So I did the police commission. I'm still on it, like I said, and I started working to develop the CERT team. And we got to the point where we got very strong with CERT, developed a good program, all volunteers. We were not a 501(c)(3). We were just a group of people trying to help the city out. And then COVID hit. And during COVID time, we dropped from somewhere around 32 members to about 4, primarily Dennis and I and a couple of extras. Maribel was part of our original class. And it was just very, very difficult times, but CERT, we did help out where we could. I then took on the role as the volunteer coordinator for the city, trying to help with the meals and everything else. And CERT, unfortunately, we lost members. We actually lost members physically because of COVID. And then we had to start all over again. So that's kind of the history behind San Dimas CERT. We are now back up to 18 members strong. CERT is a real need of the community. I'm going to share my screen here in a minute with a couple of slides. But I cannot emphasize enough that it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when we are going to suffer some type of catastrophic disaster within the city, and there will not be enough fire personnel, and there will not be enough police personnel or sheriffs around to serve the needs of the community. And that's where CERT comes in. So allow me to share my screen here, and let me go through a couple of slides. Right. Can everybody see the screen?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So here are our partners. 2 years ago or 3 years ago, when Chris came on as the new city manager, he and Emmett got together with me about rebuilding the team. I got with Dennis. We started Maribel and started talking about recruiting and getting the team back. But one of the things that I spoke to the city about was the fact that we needed support. We needed monetary support, we needed council support, we needed city support, and we got that. The council passed a resolution to make us emergency management volunteers for the city. That puts us in partnerships with our San Dimas Sheriff's personnel and with the Los Angeles County Fire personnel. So we are recognized by the state now as part of their emergency management system in FEMA. So we've done all of that work to get us to where we need to be. And the most important part is the monetary support from the council and the city to get us the much needed equipment for us to do our job. So what is CERT? You know, they're basically, we are citizens of the community, and to be a CERT member in San Dimas, you have to work or live in the city. So it's a bunch of volunteers who prepare for hazards or emergencies that threaten their community at times of disaster. But we also do other things other than the real, what we call down and dirty CERT work. We focus on preparing for these hazards. We train for them. We work with disaster responses, such as, you know, fire safety. We do light search and rescue, team organization, and we assist with disaster medical operations. So where do we fit in? Fire, EMS, and law enforcement are always going to be your first responders. They're going to be your local first responders, but when they get overwhelmed, that's when we are pulled in to supplement them. And it could be in a number of ways. We could be assigned to work alongside of them. We could be assigned to do some of the duties, minor duties that they can't do. We work out of our EOC at the Sheriff's Department. So it just depends on the nature of the activity, the nature of the disaster, where they will put us. We do simple things such as answering the phone to, like I say, evaluating buildings, doing some light search and rescue. And we're here to help our neighbors. We're part of a mutual aid system. Dennis and I worked pretty much around the clock at the Bobcat fire because our local CERT members over in Monrovia and Duarte were overwhelmed with trying to be out in their community. So Forestry requested some people at LA County Fire to do simple things, answer phone, keep the community informed, and we were able to provide that service to our neighboring communities. You know, we're going to end up dealing with, like I said, a disaster now. It's not, like I say, not like a matter of if, a matter of when. I don't think anybody would ever fathom that Maui would take the hit that they did during this last fire. We have fires in the foothills along, like the Bobcat fire that I mentioned, and it brings floods. So there's a bunch of different, what I will call scenarios that we could be involved in and that we train for and that we work with. The other thing that we are starting to do, and this presentation is part of it, is to start educating our community on the importance of emergency preparation. I had one of our CERT members respond to me last evening, you know, with a great idea to follow what the city of Irvine is doing right now, and that is creating an actual class for people to learn how to prepare for disaster, what they should have, supplies that are needed. So I think that will be forthcoming for our community. It was a great suggestion. But there are some things that we cannot do. We do not suppress large fires. I mean, we know how to use fire extinguishers, and we may be able to assist in that. We do not enter structures that are heavily damaged. We do assessments from the outside. We don't deal with any hazardous materials. We don't perform any medical, fire, search and rescue beyond what we have been trained on. We leave that for the professionals. And we don't activate or deploy. We have a rule with our CERT members that we do not self-deploy. Just because we see smoke in the foothills doesn't mean that we're going to grab our backpack and head up there. We wait for an actual call out. We have a structured group. We have a structured call out procedure, and we follow the protocol of not only the county, the city, but the state as well. So let's talk about preparing for an emergency. We really need to know about our community alert system. We're trying to get that out. Melissa Moon has done a great job on our social media sites and has included Code Red, which the city uses to notify people of emergencies. We're going to, like I say, taking the training, we're going to be putting on a training class to show people how they can prepare for it. It's very important to know all your local hazards. In San Dimas, we have a dam. The dam could break and could cause us issues. Evacuation plans. We will be working with Anissa Levis from the city. She's the new volunteer coordinator that we helps oversee us. She is coordinating an evacuation plan for the northern part of the city, and our CERT members will be assisting her with that evacuation plan that will be part of the EOC and part of the natural way that we can get people in and out. We train not only with ourselves, but with our neighbors to practice our skills. That also helps in our networking. When we are out and about, we do follow protocols for reporting suspicious activity to our sheriff's department, but we don't get involved. There will become a time next year when we get a few more people on board that we will be looking at a possibility of a fire patrol. So we'll be out there driving around. We'll get training for that. But most importantly, we get back to volunteerism, which is where we give back to our community. One of the things I wanted to bring up in developing an emergency plan, which I encourage all of you to do, is where you will meet your family members. What happens at 2 o'clock in the morning when something happens? You have a spouse, a loved one, children at work. Can they get in? Can they get out? Having an out-of-state contact is extremely important, because if we have a large-scale disaster here, chances are, like Hawaii, cell service is going to be out, electricity is going to be out. You need to have a way to communicate across the globe. I'm very, very happy and proud to say that our CERT team has 5 amateur radio, ham radio operators that have extensive training in this. We train basically every week on the radio because that is going to be our lifeline if we lose all other forms of communication. You need to know whether you should, shelter in place or evacuate. How will you get out of your home if it comes off the foundation or your workplace? What route? We talked about an evacuation route. You should know how to get out. You should probably really, really consider the fact that the roads may not be passable. So how can you get out? Are you equipped to grab a go bag, a backpack with some items in it, and be able to walk yourself out? And a plan is great, but it's like everything else. If you don't practice, it will not do you any good. What our CERT team teaches, just a couple of things. It's 24 hours of structured training to pass our basic CERT class, but it's to protect your family and your personal safety first. We do the best good with what we have. We will always take care of ourselves, our families, our neighbors first, before we even think about being deployed out into the community. When we are asked to assist emergency personnel, we will. Some of the simplest things that we do are we locate and turn off utilities, extinguish small fires, treat very, very minor injuries only to the point of what we were trained on. If it requires light search and rescue, and more importantly, just to be with people, to talk to them, to help them, to help with, with some of their survivor stress. And these are all things that we have been practicing, and we practice with our neighbors. We have a great training relationship with Gordy and our neighbor in Glendora. They are great people to work with. When we need them, they'll be there. When they need us, for their strength in numbers. Some of the non-emergency roles that we do is traffic control. We will get to the point once again, where we can help the fire department with distributing smoke alarms and making sure they're working in some of our elderly community establishments. We want to promote safety and potential hazards in the community. And we supplement special events such as the car show for the Booster Club. That was back in July. We will be out at our farmers market here in a couple of weeks. We'll be out and about and assisting during the community event for Christmas. So we will be out there. You will see us in our green uniforms. How can you be a CERT member for the City of San Dimas? I suggest Melissa has posted the next class coming up in September. I think it starts next week, if I'm not correct. So enroll in the class, even though you haven't completed it. You can fill out the city application online. We ask that you complete a basic CERT class, complete the ICS courses online with FEMA. It's about a 15-minute item to do. We pay to get you live scanned. Everybody that works for the city has to be live scanned. And then attend monthly meetings and training. We either train or we have quarterly meetings. It's not a difficult process to get on board with us. With that, I'll be happy to answer any questions, and I hope I just did not ramble on too much for you.
No, that was great, Larry. We'll open up the questions. Anybody have a question? Well, you began to answer my first question, was how to join CERT. Now it's 24 hours of training. How is that training broken up? Is it 2, 4, 8?
So there are two types of classes that they're putting on. Actually, there's actually 3. You can do it from home online, but you have to come to a regular class to perform the practical exercises. The current class that is going on is starting in September. Is a Dennis, do you have the flyers? Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday? Is that correct?
Yeah, yes, I do. September 23rd is disaster preparedness. And then it's a CERT organization and disaster 1 that starts at 9 o'clock to 4. And it's at 3325 Temple Avenue in Pomona. It's the Fire Department Training Center. And then it's the next 2 Saturdays after that, disaster medical 2, disaster psychology, then fire safety utility controls. And then October 7th is a light search and rescue, terrorism and CERT course, review and final exam and disaster simulation.
And then the other type of class they have is what they call the family class. They named it after people being able to do it on a weekend. So it does encompass doing it on a Friday. So it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Boom, 3 days, knock it out, get done. They encourage you to bring family members to that class. And that is kind of an expedited class. We just completed the class that the Moons were just in. We completed over a course of a couple months with the city of Glendora. The longer classes seem to bring the camaraderie with people together better. and you build new friends, and you build new relationships, and you build people that you know you can trust on in an emergency. I understand people's schedules are kind of, I don't know, all over the place in these days and times. So sometimes a 3-day class may work. It is a high occupancy rate for that class in the county of Orange, but not so much in the county of LA. So it just depends what's going on. But there are 3 different scenarios of the types of classes you can take. And they're 4 hours, they're 4 8-hour classes.
And so there are lots of CERT organizations within the municipalities. Are you connected up to the national organization in any way?
Yes, I am. I mean, I am a member of the National CERT organization. And that is an individual membership that people can join. We are all part of FEMA in the emergency management at the state level. But at the national level, it is an option to join. And but I am a member of that as well.
So, and then briefly, you know, talked about ICS training online. What is it? What is that component they would have to compete online?
So it's the 300-700 class. And basically all it is it teaches you about the incident command system so that you know the flow of who to report to, who your boss reports to, and know how it's going to work so that you know the structure. The incident command system works worldwide. It works perfectly in every major catastrophe that's happened. That's why it's been deemed, you know, by FEMA as the go-to of what people are going to do in any disaster. And it can be widespread incident command system, or it can be down to a very small level of a structure fire. They use the same type of system. It grows as the incident grows.
So before I go on, any other questions while we're talking? Anybody have a question? Casey, go ahead. I see you lean in.
Thanks. Thank you, Larry and team. I appreciate every event you guys are at and what you do and how you've done it. You guys have done an amazing job because I know the obstacles that you overcame, that you addressed shortly, but you didn't address all the political ones that you guys navigated. Good job. Hey, my question is, how do we as Rotarians and CERT leaders partner better? I don't need a short answer. I just, none of us need something else to do. But yet we both have, as organizations, a heartbeat to serve and to step up and to respond in need and crisis, especially. I'm sure all the Rotarians could get CERT certified. But then how would we do that without losing the fact that we're Rotarians? We would welcome every CERT member to be a member of the Rotary. But that's not, how do we do, it's just a question. What do we do so we don't lose our uniqueness, but how do we partner better?
I think we partner better by supporting each other to, you know, the abilities that we're able to. You know, you have a lot of meetings, you have a lot of contacts in the community, you have a lot of business owners. When CERT reaches out to say, here's the class, we need members. Getting that out to the community, getting that to your employees, is the fuel that drives us. We want to have as many members as we can have. So word of mouth is a very inexpensive way that we can support each other, and we should be supporting your goals as well when we are out there recruiting at our booths. I will tell you that you will always be welcome at our booths. You can bring your Rotarian documentation and join us at any time. But really getting the word out for both groups, I think, is probably the easiest and best way. And if we can get some of the Rotarians through the training, just to better yourselves within the community, whether you want to be part of the team or not, is also our goal. We are in the midst of what I will call tweaking the requirements to be a member, because there's a job for everybody in CERT. not everybody wants to do light search and rescue. Not everybody wants to be a ham operator. Not everybody wants to be at that pager call to go out, but they are more than willing to help at our community events. They're more than willing to do a recruitment flyer for us, hand out things, pick up a telephone, be able to answer the phone. We want to make it available for our ADA community to be able to come out and help. There are a lot of volunteers that feel that there are some restrictions and we want to overcome them. They can come and answer a phone. They can come work our booths. We want to be there for the entire community at every level. Right now, the structure is a little bit more structured, but we have the ability to change it so that we can welcome everybody. And I think word of mouth is probably the best way.
Maribel, if I'm not a CERT member by the end of 2024, then you're at fault. You need to work harder to recruit me. You know me and you haven't worked hard enough. Shame on you for allowing that to happen. I'm just picking on you. You know I love you. But I like the open idea. I think I'm just putting it out here. I think as you guys, as CERT, open up the door to community, not to become CERT members, but CERT aware. How do we have every person in our community know more about CERT? Not that they need to wear the green uniform to show up at the community events, but their neighborhood, they live in San Dimas. How do we create block captains? And I think that's a real place where the Rotary can come alongside and sponsor block captains and other organizations that they're not trying to bring into the organization, but they're saying, hey, let's become more educated. So I'll put that in the Rotary.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I think
good.
that will play a big part when we develop our emergency preparedness training class. I think you guys could help sponsor that and we could work jointly on that and get that out to our community.
Absolutely.
So any other questions? So a couple of things, Larry. First off, you and your crew have a standing invitation anytime you want to come to a Rotary meeting and advertise that you're a class you're holding or an event you're going to be doing. We record this and it goes out on KWST. It'll play 4 times next week. And then we push it through our social media. So you have a standing invitation with the club to come here at any time, number one. And also for the Satellite Rotary Club of Military Family Support, which meets this evening via Zoom also. Those are 2 standing things. Number 3 is I'd like to just throw out there, because you've got 2 chamber board members. I'd like to see us do, the sheriff's got a quarterly now business watch thing going on. I'd like to see somehow we sit down and go to local business and say, let's have a 9 o'clock coffee hour for an hour and a half on what a business needs to do in San Dimas to prepare for a coming disaster. And I would love to sponsor that. So just put that in your thinking cap. If that's something that you would be interested in, you've got my email address. Anybody have any questions? I have 2 final questions for you, Larry. The first is, what are your needs? You talked about needs are you a 501c3 now? And
we are actually sponsored by the city. So any donations or anything like that would have to go through the city. We could accept equipment donations, etc. But they would have to be donated to the city and they would hand them down to us. That's just the structure. It would be the City of San Dimas CERT Team. We could do that. But we are not a 501c3 right now. So
I would also invite you to think about developing an MOU with the San Dimas Rotary Foundation. And because part of our foundation, it would cover education. And so things that you might receive that people would like a tax deduction for, we could receive through the foundation if we had an MOU that made that part or a component of what we do as a foundation, but we'd be more than willing to do that. And while I'm not the president of the Rotary Club, I'm speaking as the president of the foundation, and I got another board member here shaking his head. Come on, Glenn, shake your head too. That sounds like a good idea there. I got 3 votes. That's 3 of 5. That's a done deal. Lastly, you talked about the incident command system training they take online, the 700 or 300 classes. Do you encourage them to take any of those other courses? Because FEMA's got a lot of online stuff, and some of it, like Radiological Disasters and Large Animals. That's an actual class in FEMA. And I think that's like, oh, I'd like to know about that. You know, it's like a 20-minute class.
I'm always going to encourage any kind of training because, you know, if it interests you, piques your interest, you're going to enjoy it, and they're free. You know, that's the biggest thing. All of the FEMA classes are free. There are tons of them out there on just about everything. We require the basics for the incident command system, but there are a ton of wildfire classes out there, flooding classes, how to basically sandbag your home. You know, I mean, there are just all these things, and the actual CERT classes out there too. There are law enforcement classes to some capability available, fire. So if you take the time to look at the catalog online, and all you have to do is sign up once. You sign up once, you get a login, you get a number, and then you can poke into any of those classes that are available based on your occupation, etc. You may not be able to get into all of them, but most of the restricted classes are in another group anyway. But yes, I would encourage it. And plus, most of them are not that difficult and not that time consuming.
They're interesting. And plus, I would add that you get continuing education units. You get CEU credit through that. So if you have a mandate with your profession that you have CEUs, you can find something there. It's cheap and interesting. So hey, let's move on to the rest of our meeting because we want to keep this going. We got 22 minutes left here. First thing up is the fine master. I see him sitting there, right there, ready to go.
Always ready to go. Hey, fine master's opportunity for us to say what's fine, what's not fine, or we just want to talk about something else that is our soapbox. So what's on your mind? And let's talk about what's fine. Find yourself to talk here, friends.
Well, I'll find myself $15 because grandson number 8 has peaked at over 15 pounds now, and he is just over 8 weeks old. That's pretty big for 8 weeks old.
Especially considering where he started and the journey that he came through. So that is a celebration of life. Wonderful, Raymond. Somebody else. What's fine? What's not fine? Find yourself to talk.
I'm going to find myself $25 because I was just made aware that I hate to admit it, but I was behind on dues, $250. So 10% of that I want to find myself. But I did catch up today, just so everybody knows. I'm in the clear, 0 owed.
Well, thank you very much for the fine. And everybody, we all agreed to fine ourselves $125 throughout the year, and that money goes directly towards teacher mini grants and those kinds of things. So your fines go to great things. Other fines for the day?
I was going to say, I better not find myself like Brandon does, because Brandon, I'm usually living in the rears of what I owe. So, but I'll find myself $10, recognizing that I owe Steve a check from 2 weeks ago, and I do know that where I'm at, but he's not on here, so I can't make sure I'll find him today.
You know, I'm the secretary and I make the bank deposit, so you can always give me a check, Casey. I'm not going to cut you any slack on that.
Then let me,
and by the way,
coffee.
Mary Bell, I recruited Casey for over a year to come under Rotary and have not lived to regret it yet. So I encourage you to continue to try.
I will make a harder effort to recruit not only Casey, but the rest of his family as well.
Awesome. Other fines. Okay, let's move to Action 360. Action 360 is where we review the action we've got going on in the community. It's a 360-degree view. We have the food drive coming up. That is the food drive to supply the Pelican Pantry on the 29 Palms Marine Corps base. For those of you who don't know, 22,000 active duty military families, 213,000 National Guard reservist families, and 1.2 million veterans suffer from food insecurity. They actually receive federal food assistance. And many of your major military bases, including Camp Pendleton, 29 Palms, and Fort Irwin, have food pantries primarily for enlisted personnel. We currently are stocking 29 Palms. Our last drive was 5 tons. This is our smaller drive. We're looking at 3. We've opened conversations with Pendleton and Irwin both. And so excess that's collected this time will be going to Irwin. The High Point Brewery will be the kickoff on the 27th. The food drive will be at the 30th at the Masonic Lodge. Anybody want to add to that? That's our big event coming up slowly, soon. Damn. Okay, so the next thing that's kind of in conjunction with that, we have a new thing we're trying out. This is a pledge drive for 29 Palms. So it gives people another way. Last drive, we collected about $13,000 altogether. Here's another online way. I just got an email from a Marine Corps League chapter in New Hampshire who wants to make a donation. So we've got a pretty good reach on this stuff. If anybody is interested in having that URL so they can forward it around for pledging to the drive, let me know. And I will forward that on to you. Lastly, two things. Board meeting is next week. We'll go over what we did with the foundation. To give you a recap, there'll be $3,000 was designated to teacher mini grants this year. $1,000 was to Strive for Success. $1,000 has been set aside to do a scholarship this year in Bonita as a test thing for us. And we also set aside to send 2 students to RILA and TLC each, and $500 as a match for Interact and $500 as a match for a project if we can get a Rotaract club going. So we got lots of stuff through the foundation that we'll go over at the board meeting. And put your calendars, 12/6 via Zoom is the governor's visit. That's important to Steve, or his year's president, that the governor sees we actually have a Rotary Club, which we do. It's just important that he sees it. And so that's important. Last thing is to go over the calendar. What do we got coming up? Let me put it over to you, and then we'll go to the 4-way test. Let's see. Tonight at the Satellite Rotary Club will be Bill Ivey. He's the executive director of Homes for Our Troops. That is a veterans organization out of Oklahoma. We do not yet have a speaker for the 20th. I'm still working on it. Although for the 20th at the Satellite Club, it will be Commander Chris Irwin, United States Navy. He'll be talking about the SEAL Foundation. He is a leader of one of the SEAL teams. On the 4th of October, it's Alicia Hedge from Southern California Cancer. And then we have the Elks reading, Roads for Success, Three Angels, Haiti, all kinds of programs through the end of the year. But we got good programs coming up. And last thing we want to do is the 4-way test. I'm going to call upon, who would like to read the 4-way test? I will put it up on the thing. I know we always call on Mike to give us his excellent view of the 4-way test. Would someone like to read it for us?
I'll read it.
Go ahead.
All right. Rotary 4-way test. In 1932, Rotarian Herbert J. Taylor created the 4-way test. The 4-way test is a nonpartisan, non-centurion ethical guide for Rotarians to use for their potential and professional relationships. The test has been translated into more than 100 languages, and Rotarians read cities in club meetings. The test asks the following questions. Of the things we think, say, or do, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Thank you very much, Brandon. I sincerely appreciate you. That, folks, that's it. That's our Rotary meeting for September 6, 2023. Thank you very much. Take care.
Thank you.